I've had enough of this because I'm tired of hearing about it, and I think it's bullshit. Everyone seems to be questioning the defense more and more and more, and it's just been this downhill slide.
45, 40, 35, 40, he's gonna go! It's time people feel us!
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better! He gets better and better! Team is If we die, we die!
Man, woman, and child in that. Put him in the aisle.
Bring that trophy back to Lincoln!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the last off-season episode of the Big Red Junkies.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, seriously.
It is week
I'm
0.
so excited.
Why is the table lifting up?
I woke up with my nipples hard this morning. It's just ready. It's go time.
No, it is week 0. There are games this weekend. And our game, it is Farmageddon, isn't it? in Ireland.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll see if there's any inopportune onside kicks.
I mean, that's a smart play, so.
Well, it's a play.
We couldn't be more excited. I'm sure if you're tuning in here, you're obviously equally excited. Mm-hmm. Do us a favor, like the show. If you haven't already, subscribe. We are ramping up massively in our numbers right now, and we are actually, I think, only like 20 away or 21 away from
less than 20.
Less than 20 now, from hitting 2,000 total.
Yes.
We're here to talk about a massive question that I had coming in. It's been brewing for me, and I've had enough. I've had enough of this because I'm tired of hearing about it, and I think it's bullshit. Everyone seems to be questioning the defense more and more and more, and it's just been this downhill slide. And every time there's a practice where they come out and the offense struggled, there's never any credit given to the fact that
thrived.
Maybe
the offense hasn't struggled.
There was talk about how the offense struggled. There was a takeaway. There's been different moments where they're like, the offense didn't look as sharp today. But there's never any credit given to maybe the defense is making strides. Maybe the defense is catching up to what the offense has been doing. I don't get it. The talk, it's everywhere. The national hype is starting to get kind of out of control. We're getting put in. Josh Pate put us in his playoff prediction this weekend.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of crazy shit going on nationally. But
I mean, to be fair, the national pundits really like to get Nebraska fans excited because it's so damn easy to do.
Easy extra clicks.
He wants some views.
Yep.
That was
slob on Nebraska. Just a little bit.
I did joke with somebody earlier today who sent me that clip of Josh Pate, and he's an Arizona fan. He's not or Arizona State fan. He's not a Nebraska fan. Shout out Vance if you happen to be listening. But he made the comment. He's like, oh yeah, blah blah. And I was like, yes, from the same guy that put us as finishing 6th to 8th in the Big Ten just 2 weeks prior when he was talking about a breakdown for that. So you never know. But there's just more and more dissatisfaction and more questions that seem to be coming out, and the local people that they're not giving the D any credit. And my big question, I guess, is this: Matt Rhule came in 2023, and the cupboards were far more bare than they are right now. He was coming in with Tony White, a coach who, on paper, if you were going to put John Butler in 2023 on paper, his resume, right next to Tony White's, and ask any single Nebraska fan which coach that they would prefer, they would have all taken John Butler.
I would have taken Tony White.
Why?
Because John Butler hasn't been a defensive coordinator since 2013.
So what? Tony White had been a defensive coordinator at a no-name school that wasn't even that good at defense.
Also, there's a ton of experience that he found up there in Buffalo. I have to assume.
I'm just saying. Like,
that's
if
not me criticizing John Butler.
No. I get that.
I would have taken Tony White.
Well, and you look at that stuff a little bit differently, than the average person, because when you look at the two resumes, there's a massive difference in the experience that John Butler brings in.
Yeah, if you just look at straight coaching experience, yes, one of them's a lot older than the other one, so you're gonna have more experience. It's just it also kind of just depends on what you value.
That's true.
At that time, we needed guys that were going to bring talent in the college game, and John Butler hadn't been in the college game for a long time.
That's fair.
Again, this isn't me saying I fuck no John Butler, but
no.
It was. If in the scenario that you brought up, I would have taken Tony White.
Fair. I think you're an anomaly in that group of people that I'm talking about, which
That's
is
fine.
any other Husker fan.
I also, when you asked us this question yesterday when we were talking about recording tonight, and you said it again tonight as far as everyone's trashing on the defense.
I'm not saying necessarily trashing.
I'm clearly listening to different people because I'm not hearing many people trash on the defense. I'm not saying that they're talking up the defense like they're going to be the best ever, but I don't hear this trashing on the defense like apparently you are.
I'm not saying trashing. I'm saying questioning. Constant questioning, saying that there's no way that they're going to be good. They don't have enough experience. They don't have enough bodies. And I just you look at the roster, and
they definitely got the potties.
there's
a lot of dudes on there.
especially if you look at the back end.
Yeah,
But there's far more talent on this roster than there was in 23 when they took over,
the biggest criticism that I hear is that they're undersized, and that is true.
and lack experience.
Well, yeah, and lack experience. But both of those things are true.
Sure,
So
but who's undersized?
most of our linebackers are undersized. Again, this is
I mean,
undersized.
that's-
It doesn't mean lack of talent because
I'm
we've
pretty
been saying
sure
all
all-
off season.
All but Watson Trent are bigger than John Bullock was last year.
But we've been saying all off season. This team is smaller, but this team is probably more athletic than the past defense was.
Yeah,
So
I don't necessarily think that being smaller, especially in the secondary on the defense, is a problem.
no,
As long as they can still make the plays.
I wasn't necessarily saying that as a big problem either. It's the concern people have is when you play in a smash mouth conference like the
Yes.
Big Ten. How is it going to be with those offensive linemen getting off blocks and getting to the second level? Are they going to just eat us alive? But I also think that our athletic ability that we have is going to take over for a lot of that. Our mental attitude with guys like Watson Trent that he said the other day, where, yeah, he's a smaller guy, but he's always in his mind played like he's 6'5", 240. And he doesn't care how big he is. And clearly his numbers back that up with what he did at Georgia Southern. So, the criticisms or questions or however you want to phrase it on the defense so far, to me, they're valid, but that I don't think that means that they're going to be, I'm too terribly scared, like a handful of years ago when I questioned our defensive line.
yeah.
And, I'm not overly worried about it.
Also, we're getting really close to the season. Everybody's getting excited. They need things to talk about.
Also, you kind of, during the offseason, especially as you get closer to the season, you start to do these peaks and valleys where everybody's like,
for sure.
we're going to be good, or they're going to be good, whoever you
But
are.
then you think about it more and you're
And
like,
then
wait a second.
yeah,
What if?
And then just as you're getting closer to the season, you're like, yeah, but I remember getting my heart broken every fucking year for the last 20 years.
And then
And
on
I'm
the
like-
day of the game, you just take 10 shits and hope for the best.
Exactly. So, there are ebbs and flows to all of these conversations literally every single year.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's when you look across the board at the guys individually, when you look at the individual talents, sure, we might be 20 pounds off, 20 pounds lighter with our two big interior guys when you're comparing them. But we didn't have, even last year, we didn't have guys to back up Nash and Ty.
No.
We really didn't. This year, we have some rotational pieces there. We also have more age in all of the depth that we have on that defensive line. There's not I guess with the exception of Watson Trent, I don't see what you mean. You're gonna have to give me a little bit more on this undersized in the linebacker group. Because when you look up Deshaun McCullough, who's going to be our starting jack by all intents and purposes, it seems like you look at him and you look at what's his name, the superstar freshman from last year from Florida as well, playing jack.
McGahee?
Yeah, Willis McGahee.
I was
Sorry.
like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't know where you were going with that.
My brain was out there.
Sorry, when you said from Florida, I was thinking transfer from Florida.
That's what I was thinking too.
Oh, my bad. My
Sorry.
bad. No, I'm thinking of McGahee. When you look at those two guys, it had always been a question, and this is something a few people did talk about after he was at the press conference yesterday, about Deshaun McCullough's size. Hey, it was always a question. Hey, can he get an extra 10 to 15, 20 pounds put on him and keep it on? And he's got it, and he looks huge. You even saw Mitch Sherman make a tweet comment about how he looked like an NFL player stopping by for a visit. Like the size was there. The guy was there. Willis McGahee, he looked like he was the full-size man already last year. When you start looking at that, you look at what Vincent Shavers looks like. You look at, like, I don't see the undersizedness compared
but even
to
Shavers is 6'1", 225. I mean,
fair. I mean, John Bullock was what, 6 foot, 220, 230?
Yeah, that doesn't mean he can't play.
I'm with
That's
you.
all I'm saying is that
Watson Trent is small.
Yeah.
I will give you that 100%.
yeah, none of this
He's listed at like 5'10".
none of this is saying that these guys can't make plays.
Yeah. Also, if their size was that big of a problem, they would have somebody in front of them on the depth chart.
Yeah.
They're there for a reason.
Yeah. You know, it goes back to what us three have done for years since we've known each other during, you know, and I always bring this up. Just because I don't pick one player number one all time doesn't mean I think that guy sucks.
Oh, that's...
You know, it's...
You're 100% correct.
He's lying.
He's talking about LeBron. He fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's what I'm
LeBron
talking about.
No, for me, it's more of one of those, like, I feel like with what our defensive line, especially the offensive line that they're going up against this year, I think if you look at what Ty and Nash got to go up against in practice, especially in the off seasons, the last 2 seasons that they had, if they were going up against this offensive line, they might have even been better. Nash might have actually gotten drafted. Ty might have actually gotten to the first round. You never fucking know. It sounds like Ty, all he needed was a little higher level competition. He was going to raise it even further just getting into the NFL. Or to take it off. I'm excited to see what these guys have to offer. On the back end, I think they're playing against a lot better wide receivers and a second-year Dylan Raiola with a lot more experience listening to Dana Holgerson and being able to dissect some of that.
Well, and I would assume a much more cohesive offense overall.
Yeah. Well,
so they're seeing a lot more strength in practice than they're used to.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially from a
you know,
cider field offense.
one of my other thoughts as far as I was kind of confused about, you know, apparently some of the people that you're listening to.
We're not going to name names.
So I don't know who it is. That's fine.
It's negative. It seemed like the negative side of anything is always just on the defense.
And maybe, again, it's just how we're looking at it. Because, again, I've heard criticism, but I just go, okay, that's your opinion, and cool. I'll just move on to whatever else. But, like, one of our preseason questions is our scoring defensive ranking, will it be in the top 20? Well, between BJ, Matt, Elijah, myself, and the fans, 3 of us picked yes. That will be in the top 20. So,
what the fans pick on that one?
Yes, 55% of them picked yes.
Just 55%.
So, I mean,
45% pussy. Got it.
Now, as far as the question that we have of the 40-20, 40 sacks, 20 takeaways, 3 of us picked no. But I know that at least myself, when I picked no, I thought we were going to get really close to the 40.
Close, yeah.
You know, so again, I'll take over 20 takeaways and getting really close to 40 sacks this year. And I'll take that to the bank and be very happy with it.
And on the scoring side of things, like just for me personally, like if I'm looking at the 2 different questions you talked about there, I'd be happier with an under 20 scoring defense if we got to the 20 takeaways because we took some chances and might have missed.
Mm-hmm.
Like not Malcolm Hartzog in the USC game or Tommy Hill in the USC game. Not that kind of missing. I'm talking about like, if he was a split second difference, that's a house call the other direction. Instead, he gave up, a 50-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
Those types of things I can live with. And we're going to be able to live with them as a team a little bit more this year because our offense is going to score more points.
What do you think? And if you've seen it, the quote from John Butler the other day where he said, we will be as aggressive as the officials allow us to be.
Oh, man. So I
specifically talking about the secondary, he was.
So I know you haven't listened to it yet. I listened to that. I think I listened to that portion of that press conference 3 different times. First of all, he gets like, you can tell that dude is a fucking nerd about football. He gets into like this. Sometimes he says things and he's like, shit, I got to back that up and say it like differently because y'all ain't going to understand what I just said. But he gets into stuff and he was talking about how actually comparing a loss in the playoffs 2 seasons in a row in Kansas City and how he watched David Merritt, Dawson Merritt's father, who's the DB's coach down at Kansas City, how he watched him and then he actually connected with him and was like talking about how they approached the game from a standpoint of when you get into the game, you can tell how a ref is going to call a game, whether they're going to be tight or whether they're going to let them play. And he talked about how our whole approach is making sure that they understand that you're just changing your aggressiveness. You're not changing your approach. And I highly encourage, if you haven't heard it, I know you haven't yet, go watch specifically that one.
I've seen clips of it, but yeah.
Oh my goodness. The way he explains it, I'm not doing it justice right now whatsoever. But it was very, very good stuff. And it got me excited from the standpoint of, I think we're going to be a lot more physical defense this year not from a hitting perspective. Yeah, we're a little bit smaller, but I mean, from we're going to be all up in your shit. And when we get the chance, we're not going to try and actually murder you, but you're going to feel it when you get hit.
Well, and also you could say when you have a better offense like we're supposed to have, it kind of allows your defense to take more chances.
More risks.
Yes.
Take more risks.
Which then could go both ways, kind of with what you were talking about earlier. So, even with that whole scoring defense question, we could fall outside of the top 20, just barely, but still be a better defense because we're taking more chances and things like that.
Yeah, definitely have more impacts on the game. Also, I really appreciate the emphasis on a more intelligent approach to the defensive side of things instead of just raw emotion, this, do your job, that. No, it sounds like he's thinking about every single facet he can when it comes to each individual game.
Well, and you've got the raw guys at a couple different positions, because you've got Braden. He is like the ultimate cheerleader coach, but he's also for the guys that are in there. And I kind of like where he's going with this, with some of the youth side of things, because we are Cam Lenhart. Think about that. Cam Lenhart went from being a guy who we all talked about as a true freshman, just like Vincent Shabers and Willis McGahee Jr. Last year, we were just talking about him the exact same way we were talking about them, and now he's the oldest guy on the D-line. Mm-hmm. That's actually kind of fucking crazy. But you look at it and you go, okay, cool. Well, him and Riley Van Poppel have both been here for 3 years. Those guys are kind of the leaders in the room. Elijah Judy is actually older than both of them, but he's only been here for, this is third year now or second year? Third year, because he came in with Rhule, didn't he?
Third, yeah.
But they talked a lot about Braden in his press conference on Monday. He talked after Butler, and he talked about how proud they are of Elijah Judy and his graduate. He graduated. He's one of, I think they said 8 graduates that are going to be on the team this year. But they talked about specifically understanding this is life. This is the real stuff. Football is the ancillary. This is the extra. But then he kind of bled that into talking about there's a lot of apparently Von Miller was quoted recently as talking about how there's all kinds of different moves. All the defensive line guys use different moves, and there's a bunch of different techniques and whatever. And Von Miller was quoted as saying, ultimately, I think my best tool was being able to combine speed and power. And so Braden went on to talk about, and he actually, in a quasi way, without being asked about it, addressed the difference in size and things like that, where he talked about, we're teaching them how to play as fast as they can with power and use one move. You need one good move to get to the NFL. You can learn the rest of them when you get there.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because then after that, a couple of different people that I listened to today on different shows were talking about the differences between him and what's his name? Pork Chop that left. Not Pork Chop, Pot Roast.
Oh, not Knighton.
Yeah, Terrence Knighton, and how there was a little bit of a difference in the way that Braden's bringing up everyone as a unit, and that they see more of the defensive line unit operating like what we hear about the offensive line, where they're a cohesive unit and they do everything together on the field, off the field, all those different things. Whereas apparently with Knighton, it was a little bit more individual. He did really good of bringing out certain things out of certain people. Not to try and say that Braden's going to be better than him, but because Knighton's a great defensive line coach. But when you get them playing as a unit, especially when you talk about being undersized, that's huge. Mm-hmm. That's huge. I'm excited about it. I don't know. Yeah. This is my main thing right now. Is just I think everything's going to be better because everybody's better.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron. That whole deal.
We've also just hit the point where we just want to get there.
We want to
stop being worried about stuff or nervous about stuff.
Yeah.
Just let me watch the fucking game.
Yeah, I want to stop talking about it and start looking at
Fuck yeah.
it. Just, I'm done.
It's weird to hear. We haven't met since we heard from Archie Wilson and that whole scene on the podium that was very, very endearing to the fans and very cool.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what that looks like. If our punt team isn't something that we dread seeing run out on the field, that's going to be pretty nice.
Oh God, yeah.
Not that I ever want to see us have to punt. Like, it'll be really cool if Archie Wilson gets to punt like 4 times this season.
Well, yeah. Yeah, honestly, I never want to see him on the field, but that's just not a realistic situation. What I am kind of afraid for is, because everybody's going to be like, as soon as he gets, first time we're going to punt, it's going to be weird because we're all going to be like, shit, we got to punt. And then we're going to be like, ooh, we're going to
watch this. Show us a banana ball.
But then the other problem is that inevitably he's going to shank one. And then you're going to hear the crowd of, well, typical overhyping, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Because even the best punters don't shank some every once in a while. I mean, whatever. It's just
going to happen.
Happens in every game.
It's going to happen. It's interesting to see how many of those guys, how many starting line guys they're going to use and they want to use.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're basically leaving it up to the players.
Yeah.
If you want to and you're doing everything else in practice that you're supposed to, sure, go out and get out there.
Sounds like they're really going to piss off Matt by putting Barney back there.
I will reserve throwing shit until he gets hurt. But once he gets hurt, I'm coming down there.
I hope it doesn't get hurt. I don't know. He took some serious shots last year.
It doesn't mean I want him to take more.
He looks like he's bulked like maybe a little bit from a standpoint of just like filling out.
It doesn't mean I want him to take more.
Not like what they tried to do. Not like what they tried to do to old Ferrari last year. Jalen Lloyd
Turn him into a Volkswagen.
Add 20 pounds to him. That's not gonna work. Anything else you guys got for this one?
I don't know. Did you want to talk about the single digit guys? Or
single
digit guys?
Yeah, no, I mean,
have we filled in that last number?
Yeah.
That last number one spot.
Right.
Let me ask this. So, I've seen it both ways. I've seen everybody attack all the people that went out and pronounced that it was going to be Raiola, and I've seen all the people that said that it was going to be Raiola and he turned it down. Where do you guys fall on this?
I will say what I say all the time, and people think that I'm being a dick about it. I don't care. This isn't for me. It's for the players.
That's true.
This was voted on by the players, just the players, not the coaches. And it is something bestowed on them by the players, by their teammates. Who the fuck am I to get all high and mighty and all that bullshit over it? You know what? If that's what they voted on, cool. Good on you guys.
See, Jed, I want to agree with you, but I don't agree with you because I think my opinion's better than everybody else's.
That's fine.
Anyway. So, but I will say I think Sierra Wright's probably very much deserving of the number. And I don't think a kid like Dylan, who is obviously in the position he's in, needs that sort of extra validation in there.
Well, and again,
he's already your captain. Like
we've seen other players, and I don't even want to say turn it down because they had to turn it down. Last year, an offensive lineman got voted in. Well, he can't have a single digit as an offensive lineman. So, we've seen other players get voted in, and they just, for whatever reason, whether it's by choice or by force, they're like, hey, guess what? I'm good. Let's get somebody else in there. Yeah. And honestly, if it's by choice, to me, it means even more because as a leader that your quarterback should be, he's stepping up and saying, hey guys, I know that there are other people on this team that have earned it just like I have. I appreciate the honor, but let's honor some more people and get some more guys up here.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I think it's great. But am I going to get all up in arms either way about it? Hell no.
Well, and we did talk to an insider that did state in a factual form that Dylan was voted for it, but that he decided to pass.
Yeah.
I get it. For whatever reason that is. I also think that
and even if it was for the reason that you said, good. Fine. That's fine.
Yeah, cool.
Who cares?
Whatever your reason is.
I don't care.
Totally fine. I think it's cool that
It's also understandable.
I think it's cool that Sierra Wright got it because I think that's really the only time this fall that we've actually talked about it much. Which that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing. Yep. I don't know. He was he's the new shiny toy from Hollywood last year, and nobody expected him to play, and then he did, and he was by far and away, in my opinion, our best DB on the whole team last year. And not hearing anything about him makes me wonder, hey, are these new wide receivers really embarrassing him? Or is he just holding his job? Doing his job and everything's fine.
Yeah.
Because we've also stopped hearing so much about Andrew Marshall the last week, too.
I actually told my oldest this the other day about work stuff. I said, the best compliment I ever got at one of my jobs, this was before the post office, was I had one of my bosses come up to me and say, Jed, there's times where I forget that you're even here. I looked right at him. I said, perfect. Because that means you're not worried about me doing my job.
Yeah, that's true.
So just because we don't hear about Sierra Wright or anybody else that we might want to hear about.
I can't talk about 100 kids all the time.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It just means he might just be doing his job.
Yeah. I feel like a kid like that where he already overperformed in his first year and now he just has that expectation this year. There's a lot more bad stuff that you would be talking about than good stuff if you're talking about him on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Only thing I guess that it's one of those. What is the signal? What is the message being sent when they decide to put somebody on the podium? Because we have heard from a lot of dudes on the defense this year. Sierra Wright's not one of them, and he's the 2 other times last year that he was on the podium. He was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of the only other thing that's in the back of my mind.
You say he's good in front of a camera.
I think some people might say he's a professional. About as professional as LeBron James.
His dad?
Yeah. Dad. Old daddy. No, the other guys like Riley Van Poppel getting it, I think that's awesome. Yeah. It's kind of almost holding the tradition of what Nash had having it and Ty having it.
Yep. But everybody else are skill position guys, other than Javin Wright. But all the rest of them are defensive backs and wide receivers.
One other comment that was made by, and this was actually when John Butler was asked yesterday in the press conference, he was asked if there was any correlation to like depth chart ranking or positioning with the single digit numbers. He didn't really answer the question, but he did go on to praise a couple different guys that got him and talk about how that's such a huge honor, not just for the players themselves, but for the team. And when you go visit someplace, they know that they have to prep for you. You're one of the guys. That's a signal that you're one of the guys they need to prep for. All those things. He specifically called out the fact that Vincent Shavers apparently not only did he get it last year when Jamari Butler decided to give it up, and he was voted for that. Mm-hmm. In order for him to get 9, he had to give up 1 and get re-voted to get 9. It wasn't like just, I'm just trading out a single digit. He actually got re-voted to get it.
This was another quote that I was going to bring up.
When I'm getting it again, but when he said that, I was like, I backed it up again. I'm like, oh shit, and I got goosebumps. I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
That to me tells me that this isn't just extra hype like what we gave Umamiela and Lenhart after their freshman year. Like, this is like, Vincent Shavers is a stalwart in the middle of that defense. Very, very cool thing.
Yep.
Outside of that, though, the only other thing with the single digits that really got to me but I thought was really neat was that, massive brain fart. New wide receiver that came in.
Dane Key
got one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dane Key getting that. I think it's very reminiscent of Jamal Banks getting it last year. Coming in, working really hard. Hopefully he's not just a 3-step drop to the ground kind of guy.
And six was the number he had at Kentucky, so he was able to get his number back.
That's a big thing.
And there was people, because Dane Key was like one of the first people announced as a single digit, and so
he was the first one, wasn't he?
I don't remember if he was the first. I just said he's one of the first. It was either him or Van Poppel or both, at the same time. But a lot of people were like, well, they only gave it to him because they're paying him a bunch of money and that's his number that he wanted. It's like, Okay, if you want to be,
I don't think the
if you want to be
players are
cynical,
voting based on how much money these guys are getting.
if you want to be that cynical person, you know what? Just go do that over there. I'm going to be over here thinking it's pretty cool.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.